What's up, guys? I'm Caden with Crypto Now or Never, and welcome back to another market update. If you enjoy this content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. None of this is financial advice. Let's get into it.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want.
Alright, so as usual, we're going to start off with a little technical analysis update. And you can see right now Bitcoin's trading at 82,797, but we are trading at key levels. So if you guys have been watching any of my content over the last few weeks, last few months even, I've been calling for a relief rally. And I've been talking about how we are extremely oversold on pretty much every single time frame. Now, as we speak right now, Bitcoin is continuing to get a short squeeze, but what I was just about to point out is that we are currently forming a double top. It is extremely important to see Bitcoin close above this previous high, but it's probably even more important that we see Bitcoin break above the 200-day moving average, which is this golden line right here. If Bitcoin can actually close a candle above this golden line, then we could actually confirm a breakout. But in the past, we have seen Bitcoin several times get above the level and then it has had a hard rejection right afterwards. We do not want to see that happen. Ideally, what you want to see happen is for Bitcoin to actually get back above this level and then it comes back and has a bullish retest off of that level. But we do not want a double top. If you look at the daily time frame, it's actually a somewhat similar situation. We have very important levels to get back above. The 4-hour is retesting the 200-day, but the daily is retesting the 21-day. Both of these levels are crucial. If Bitcoin does not get back above these levels, then expect us to probably come back down and retest the range lows. So that's kind of what I'm looking for today and over the weekend. Now, I also quickly want to go over the bigger picture. So if you guys look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, you can see that we're still holding very strong. I know a lot of people are super worried about this drop, but you have to understand that right now, Bitcoin is actually still trading above the previous high. The previous high had a wick of 73,794. If you look at the bottom of Bitcoin, it had a low of 74,434. Now, am I saying that Bitcoin can't go lower and it can't come back down and retest this level? No, I am not. In fact, it would make sense from a technical analysis standpoint. But we have seen Bitcoin front run very important levels in the past. Just to show you guys what I'm talking about, in the previous bull flag, we saw this wick come all the way down here to 49,577. Many people out there were expecting it to come back down and retest this wick right here at 49,048. But even with the flash crash, we still front ran it by $500. So we have seen Bitcoin front run very important levels. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is the M2 global liquidity. So I've also been showing you guys this for several weeks. But if you look throughout the history of Bitcoin, oftentimes when we find a local top, we see Bitcoin explode a few weeks or a few months later. You can see in January of 2023, we hit a local top. What happened? A few weeks later, we exploded. Now, December of 2023, we hit a local top. What happened? A few weeks later, we exploded. Now, September of 2024, we hit a local top. What happened? A few weeks later, we exploded. You can see right here that we are increasing a lot, but Bitcoin still has not had the breakout. Again, we see that it usually happens a few weeks later. Now, can I guarantee that we are going to get a breakout? No, I cannot, but previous data would suggest that we do. And it would also align with the fact that we could have had a support and resistance flip, and the stochastics are now extremely oversold. I personally think Bitcoin on the weekly time frame looks very good. So I would not be shocked at all if over the next few weeks we do actually see a breakout. And if you look at the S&P on the weekly, you can see that we're also having a very nice bounce. In my last market update, I was talking about how the S&P was extremely oversold. Like, we hadn't seen these levels since COVID and since 2008. So there was a very good chance that we were going to end up getting a bounce. And as of now, it has already started to happen. Now, for the S&P, is it possible that we end up getting rejected and we come back down and retest the 200 weekly moving average? Absolutely. That could happen. You can see that in the past, we have tagged it several different times. But similar to Bitcoin, we could also front run it. In general, though, the macro news is just creating so much volatility right now. For example, 4 hours ago, China raises tariffs on the US to 125%. And just for the last few weeks, we have seen constant tariff news. But the reality is that the tariffs and a lot of the news that's being pushed right now will not have power in the future. You have to understand that the market prices everything in. FOMO and fear only exist when something happens that was unexpected. If the market already knows something is going to happen, then it's not going to create a lot of FOMO or a lot of fear. And eventually tariffs are going to become old news. That's just the reality of the situation. So what I recommend is, rather than focusing on tariffs and all of the negative news, look at everything that's being built behind the scenes. For example, 14 hours ago, President Trump signs a resolution overturning the IRS crypto rule targeting DeFi. And then New Hampshire House passes Bitcoin Reserve Bill, and Florida also did the exact same thing. In addition, yesterday we learned that US inflation falls to 2.4%, lower than expectations. This is also very bullish to see. This could eventually lead to quantitative easing, or at least the ending of quantitative tightening. And it could also lead to rate cuts. So in general, don't get caught up on the short-term price action. Regardless of whether or not we break out in the short term, just understand that crypto is here to stay. All of that being said, though, if you guys are interested in joining a like-minded community and getting into projects super early, I also recommend taking a look at my Discord. We're here for the market pumps, we're here for the market dumps, we're here for everything, and we've been making huge gains this entire bull run. And eventually market conditions are going to turn around again. So if this is the kind of community that you wish to be a part of, you'll find the link right here on my YouTube homepage. I'd love to see you guys in here. But that's about all. Let me know down in the comments, where do you think the market's actually heading over the next few weeks? If you found this content valuable, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.